Good morning, go-getters. How are you doing? This is Cami Hoyza. I am really excited to be joining you here today. It's been a little bit. We have been busy launching a new online course, and so a little crazy on my side of the world. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're here. If you're here, make sure you uh, drop in the comments that you're here. Say hey, so that we can have a conversation. I like this to be conversational if it can be. Really excited to be here because I want to talk about something that's really kind of been weighing on my mind lately. And that is really what is leadership and how can we be leaders during this time? And I know that the people who watch my show and are in my network are leaders. I know you guys are leaders. I know you're a leader in some way or another in your world. That's just who I attract. That's who I have friendships with. So that's why I know that's true. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about sort of when the world changed for me in the last couple of months. And that was when I was on vacation. I was in San Francisco. It was right before pretty much everything started shutting down in the United States. And I think this is March 9th. I can actually grab the information about exactly what day this was, but I think it was March 9th. Or 13th, I can't remember which. I think it was the 9th. And I was standing and on the shore overlooking San Francisco Bay. And as I was overlooking San Francisco Bay with my family, just doing the normal touristy things that you would do, um, all of a sudden, this came into view. This boat right here, this ship. And can anybody tell me which ship you think this is? Whoops, now it's gone. Let me put it back. So this ship came in, started coming up under the San Francisco Bay. And as this ship came under the San Francisco Bay, I stood on the shore and I thought, I think that things are going to change and they're going to be massive change. And we knew that the virus and COVID were happening, but we didn't know what was going to happen with that. And this is the ship, the Grand Princess, as it came into the harbor, actually into Oakland. But as we watched this, I just knew to my very core, my very bones, that this was like a huge shift, that this marked for me the beginning, like the ship had come in, this was the moment for me that this all changed. And so as I stood there, well, first of all, I guess probably why it affected me or impacted me was because, half of our business is around travel and tourism for my company, which is Zoetica Media. And half of our business is in tourism. And I knew that with this ship coming in, literally, there would be a huge change in the travel and tourism industry, and that we would not be able to do what we were going to do. And we'd had a lot of things planned, and a lot of clients had stuff on hand. And I knew all of that was going to just go under the bridge with what we had there. And in fact, we'd already kind of delayed something that we knew we were going to have to delay before I even left on that vacation. So I just would say that, I've been there too, standing on the shore, just going like, what is going to happen here? And now that we've been doing this for, I don't know, in the United States, we've been at this for about 5 weeks, a little bit more. Um, I just, what's occurred to me is that we need to have a discussion around how we go forward with this, because it's easy to fall into despair with this up again, down again, things are opening up, things are not. And right now in Texas specifically, where I'm sitting, things are opening up again, but I'm not sure that they should be. And I don't know how you feel about that. I would love to hear how people feel about where we're at right now. That's fine. But the bottom line is that we are in a situation where that's going to require leadership. And what I've been seeing is a lot of people stepping up into that leadership role in different ways. And some people like not stepping up into that leadership role, like abdicating leadership to other people and that kind of thing. So from a company's perspective, from a business perspective, not a political perspective, I don't want to talk about politics. I want to talk though about how we as leaders can kind of get there, how we can get to the place where we're helping in this situation and bringing things forward, and the human spirit. So with that in mind, I thought that we could talk a little bit about just the idea that, we are in a situation now where I think, things are not, I mean, even if things open all the way back up, we're going to have moments where they go in and out of that. So we're going to have moments where we probably have another, stay home moments and then going back into work moments. And how do we navigate that during this time? That's the question that I have is, how do you navigate this from your kitchen? And if you're a CEO or a leader or a team leader or any kind of leader, how do you do that where you can't touch and feel and talk to people in real life? I mean, you can get a Zoom call going and that's awesome. But how do we lead forward and make people understand that? And so one of the things that I think is really important, and there's going to be a couple things I talk about, but the first one is really about certainty. And that is, we can't be certain of what's coming for sure, but having certainty about your response to it is really important, I think, because if you can be certain about your response and say, hey, I don't know if this is the right way or the wrong way, but this is the way we're going to go. And this is what we're going to do. And then we'll adjust based on like what happens in the next, few weeks or months or years or whatever. And so I think that's really important because it gives people confidence. So if you have certainty, and you're a leader, then people that you're leading, they have the confidence to move forward with you. And I think that's so, so important. Not saying that you know it all, not acting like you know it all, not pretending you know something you don't, but I'm just talking about that quiet certainty that makes people trust you so that you can work together to get through something. The worst that can happen is indecisiveness, I think, because if you're indecisive as a leader, a business leader at this particular moment, I believe that actually causes you to not be able to move anything forward because your team then becomes completely indecisive and like, I don't know what to do and I don't know where to go. So I think that certainty is so important. Certainty with humbleness, though, certainty with humbleness and saying, hey, this is the decision I'm going to make. I think this is the right way to go because this is for these, and these reasons. Let's do it. So the second thing is that goes along with that certainty, and I talked about that humbleness, is collaborative spirit, right? And that is that you no longer are trying to be the command and control of your company or your business or your team. If you're leading a team, that command and control kind of feeling is that trying to keep control of the situation becomes even harder if you're like working in a distributed manner. So if your team is spread out in all their houses across, a city or wherever, you're going to have a really hard time dictating to them what they should be doing. So I would say that's the second thing. So certainty being the first, second thing being collaborative spirit. And having that collaboration is going to be hugely important because you're going to have to trust people to do their work. So how do you check to make sure it's happening? Or what if they don't do it? That's the question, right? So I've been working with a distributed team coming up on 10 years now. So we have a great team. It's wonderful. And yeah, I mean, there's times when things don't go to plan. I will be honest, there's been times when things did not go to plan. And what you have to do is just set up channels of communication. And we do huddles. So I work with my team to do these huddles. And the reason I do the huddles is so that I can clear the obstacles out of their path. So I want to know what it is that I can do to help them at that moment. Often I'm the obstacle, I'll be honest. So, they're like, we need this from you in order to move forward on that. And so we will work through that. And if you have set times to do that, you're going to be able to work through a lot of things very quickly. Instead of pointless meetings where you just all sit around and talk about different things, talk about removing obstacles during your meetings and make them short, So if they're a working meeting, they can be longer. But if it's just a touch base, 15, 20 minutes is fine. Just what are we doing? What are the obstacles? What do we need to know going forward? So we are doing a lot of that also with our clients, like with our clients that are in a situation where we have to keep up on what's happening next because things are rapidly shifting. So we'll have at least a weekly huddle with them and say, hey, where are you at? What do we need to do? Here's what we need from you so that we can move on. So that would be number two. So number one really is about that clarity, that certainty I said, but clarity is part of it too. And then the number two is really about that collaborative spirit. So I'd love to know what you guys think about those two things. And let's see, I'm going to see if anybody said anything. Nope. nope, nope. So maybe if you come later and listen to replay, make sure you let me know if you're here and replay it. I'd love to get the feedback on that. And then the third thing is really all about um, just having a flexibility. So no C's. So it's like I had two C's and one F. So the third thing is really about flexibility. And flexibility means that you kind of roll with the punches. And there's a certain grit to flexibility. You have to have a certain grit about you to be flexible. And I know that for me, it's always been very I've been through a lot of things where I've had to be flexible in my life. So I've had some moments. Hi, Jen. I've had some moments in my life where I've had to be extremely flexible. Starting from when I was a senior in high school and my mother got married and moved across the country, and I was all alone. And suddenly I had to just figure out how to live as an adult, like immediately. I wasn't even 18. I was 17, almost 18. And I just had to figure it out. Figure it out, girl. So that's what we did. And then, going to college, putting myself through college, that was a struggle. There was days that I had to choose between gas and buying food. And so that was a struggle. So I think the more that you go through struggles and like overcome them, the more confidence you have in the fact that you can overcome the struggles. I think that's just, part of life. And right now is a struggle. So this is the time for you to prove to yourself, whatever you're doing, in whatever way you're leading, how to overcome those struggles. And you may not have a team. It may just be you, and that's fine. But this is the moment for you to learn how to do that. Like, let's overcome this thing that that's put in our path. And as you overcome these challenges, you build up your own confidence that you can do it. It's the same thing we teach with, working with kids. You want them to overcome their own challenges instead of rushing in to save them, so that they can feel the confidence that they're capable of overcoming the challenge. Does that make sense? So there you go. So those are the three things I wanted to talk about, and kind of what precipitated them for me. For me, it was really definitely about watching that Grand Princess ship come in through the harbor, and I knew that in San Francisco, and I knew that the world was going to change. I did not have any clue how much, and there's still a lot to go because lots of people are still going to get laid off, and things are going to be difficult. But, I think that if we keep in mind that there needs to be sane people that are calm, collected, and that, have that outlook that says, here's where I want to be 5 years from now, not like right in the moment. And I think one of the things that's maybe a big mistake that we can make is being panicked and having that sense of lack, like that, like you're trying to pull the hoarding comes from that, where people just are pulling all the things to themselves because they're afraid that they won't have enough. And so I think that kind of spirit inside of you will derail your success. So right now, I believe that we're looking for ways to pivot. And I've talked a lot about pivoting lately, but what are the ways you can pivot your own thinking to have that moment where you're bringing in abundance rather than like throwing out like a bunch of negativity around things. And it's easy to get negative because if you turn on the news, honestly, if you turn on the news, you're going to be feeling a little bit overwhelmed, right? So I just, feel like that's the truth. Oh, what do you so Jennifer says something. I'm going to see what she says. Two things, right or wrong. Here, I'll pull this up. Some philosophy stuff. It's good. Two things, right or wrong, but never undecided was my dad's philosophy of going through the world. I can be flexible, but I have to freak out for a bit. Okay. Yeah. So that's good. Yes. I agree with that too, Jen. I mean, it's definitely okay to freak out for a little bit. I don't think, you need to be steel, but I do believe that you can't stay there, right? You can't stay in the freak out, because if you stay in the freak out, you can't move forward. It just, it keeps you from moving forward, and you're keeping yourself from moving forward when you stay in that mode. And there are a lot of awful things that are happening. So you may say to me, hey, I've lost my job. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. Yes, I totally understand that. I actually have been there. I've slept on couches because I didn't have any place to stay. It's happened in my life. So, I do understand that. And here's the thing. If you just stay on that couch, if you're couch surfing, if you just stay on that couch and you don't get yourself back up off of it, then, you've lost the battle. So I really do feel very strongly that, we have to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off and move forward. Have your freak out, then move forward. I love that. So there you go. And then, yeah, I mean, there is also like drawbacks to being like harshly certain. If you're certain with like no humble spirit, then that could be a problem too, right? Because you can sound like some of our leaders that, don't have a lot of compassion. And that's really important that we have compassion too. So I guess maybe that's another C, compassion. But I do think compassion is really important right now because people need to understand that you understand them. And if you do that, then you can go far with that. Yeah, the people will listen to you more. I think that's true, right? So anyway, that's awesome. So I want to see if there's anybody saying anything on, yeah, I'll check over here and see if we got anything going on over here on LinkedIn, because whatever reason, LinkedIn doesn't pull into StreamYard. Very interesting, but true. So I have to come back here and check all the time. Awesome. Yay. Good. And we have a comment over there. Good. So I'll see what you're saying. Who is it? Oh, it's Tanya. Agreed. We're open. So yeah, Tanya says, agreed. We're opening, trying to return to the way things were. We should be helping our business embrace a new normal. Oh, I love that, Tanya. Yes. Embracing a new normal is so important because that was actually one of the things that I accepted kind of early on, that things were just going to be different, that it was going to change. I think it's important to have that acceptance first, though, before you can move on and change something. I think you have to accept that the old way is just, it's a dead way. And I do think that this is a good opportunity for all of us to move to that new way of thinking, right? How do we get from just thinking like, let's get it back to exactly the way it was? I think that's definitely something that's going to happen over the next few weeks, that people are going to be dying for it to be back the way it was. And then they're going to rush out and it's going to be somewhat the way it was and very different with masks and everything. But then, there may be like a hot spot or something flares up and then they close everything down again. And people will I think that's going to really make people that don't accept that things are different have some despair. And I really feel like that's something that we need to think about now so that we don't get surprised by it when it happens. Does that make sense? Yeah. I do think that because I do feel like it's going to be different. And, for those of us who've always worked from home, I know, Jen, you're like with me on that one recently, at least. I mean, some of the biggest problems we have are like, are we going to have business, or all that stuff too, but we don't have to worry about like reopening a store and having people come in. So if you have like a retail location right now, you're going to have to be very inventive and put in that creative thought that I know you have as an entrepreneur to make that work. So how is that going to look? Because your store may have to close and open and close and open, or your office or whatever. If you have like a physical place, that's going to change. I mean, it's going to have to change the way that it's done. So what are you doing? I'd love to know. I'd love to hear the ideas because I know other people could actually benefit from those ideas and sharing them. But yeah, that's definitely going to be the case. I love that. Thank you, Tanya. So yeah, that's where we're at. So that's just my thinking. I do feel like we have a lot of space for leadership. There's a vacuum of leadership that I think so many people can fill right now in their own worlds. I mean, if you feel like you're not a leader, well, the truth is that you are a leader. You're absolutely a leader, and you can become a leader. You can step into leadership during this time. Oh, Lisa says, how about becoming a leader of a new team in the midst of this? How to build that sense of teamwork? Okay, Lisa, that actually is a great question. So given that I've always had teams that are distributed, we do teamwork in a different way than, you would in an office. So I've heard that a lot. Like, we have all these new people starting. How are we going to get them started in a place where they can't even come in and get started the way that we would normally get started? So one of the things we do, and I'll just share what we do, and then maybe you can adapt it to your own situation, because I don't know what is it, an office? Is it a whatever? But we do some. First of all, we have a Slack channel. We have a Slack channel that we keep in touch with on pretty much all day. And we have different channels for different clients. And then we also have in Slack, and we also have individual channels with each other. So we're constantly in touch via Slack during the day, almost like you're next door to somebody in the office. That's what it feels like, because you're saying, hey, what do you think about this? Or what about that? And you don't have to pick up the phone. You don't have to get on a Zoom call. You don't have to put on your makeup. You just Slack and you type out something. So Slack works really well for us. And then we also do some kinds of, well, actually what I'm going to do, we were going to have an in-person meeting because we're all in the Houston area, but we are spread out. That's kind of the way I set it up. And then I have a few people. I have my VAs in Ohio, and then the person who helps put together all of the technical stuff for my courses and stuff is in California. So we were going to do a day where we got together and did a Zoom call all together and everything. And some of us would be in person and so on. Well, that doesn't look like it's going to happen for a long time. So instead of putting it off, which kind of was my first thought, we're going to, in June, which as right after the course ends, because we're kind of in a busy season right now. As soon as the course, my Smart Social Secrets course ends, we are going to have a day where we get together, we talk, and then I'm going to send out, I'm going to send them all food. I'm going to DoorDash food to all of them. So we're going to have a lunch together. So we're going to do things like that. So I think having a little bit of fun too is really important during this time for teams, because it's so, my son said it. It's the same thing every day, Mom. We get up, we go to school, we do that. It's like Groundhog's Day for those of you who've seen that movie. That's kind of how it feels, right? You get up, you do it again, you rinse, you repeat. So anything that kind of breaks that is good. I know some teams that are doing happy hours, getting together in Zoom. Everybody gets their favorite whatever beverage. For me, it's this morning, my chai tea. They get their favorite beverage. You could do it in the mornings too. It doesn't have to be evening, around 4:35. And they do just an end of the day on a Friday hangout. That could be good. So team building during this time is really important, I think. And so being creative about it. I mean, it's kind of fun, actually. You can be very creative right now. But I love the DoorDash idea. So I'm totally doing that. I don't know what you think about that. That would be good though. Yeah. So anybody have any other ideas for teamwork? I'd love to hear other people's ideas for what you think good teamwork, at distance would be. Sending something through the mail is also good. I've been doing also Instagram. So we've had a couple of anniversaries lately for start dates. So I put together some fun little graphics and stuff and said, hey, happy 4th anniversary, and put it through Instagram stories. And everybody kind of piled on, and I tagged, all the teams, so that they could all just, share it on there. So that could be another way to go. That would be good. Let me see what we say here. Haha. I got to go back and forth here a little for your comments. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Remote. Okay. So they're remote, Lisa. Yeah. So, yeah. So if you're remote anyway, yeah, that's, so hopefully those ideas were some good ideas for you. Maybe you have some other thoughts about it yourself. Have you thought about it? And do you have any ideas what you want to do? Because I'd love to get ideas shared here with all of us. So yeah, I don't know. I just think leadership right now is going to be less about being this great, stand-up leader, and more about getting people to go with you, that you work together. That, again, that collaborative part of it is going to be so important, because you're going to have to trust them to you're going to have to trust them to get their jobs done. And you're going to have to come up with ways to manage that. What does that look like? So we also use ClickUp, which is a tool that I can show you what it looks like, but ClickUp is a tool that helps us to figure out who's doing what. It's a product management tool, or productivity management tool, I should say. And one of the things that we love about ClickUp is that everybody can go in there and, we know where people are on different projects. Because you can, it shows where they are actually, and you can be a watcher on a project or whatever. So let me actually share my screen on that front. But I think, having tools like that in place that help you to move together as a team, I think that's really important too. That's one of the things that, I immediately, we put together as we went into this. It's like, hey, how are we going to keep, kind of on the same page during this time? So let me share that, because yes, I am going to put that over here, and I'm going to call it, there we go, screen 2. And I'm going to share this with you. Okay. So here is my ClickUp. And so basically we have everything in here, and thank you, Katie, who does this for us. But it's got all of our projects here on the side, and we can go in and see who's doing what. So the other thing that's nice is this bell right here. And this, when I click on these notifications, it'll bring me in here and it'll let me know what I need to work on right now. So it says I'm due add tips from the home office to the landing page on Zoetica. So I need to do that today probably. And then the platform masterclass, which we already did. So that was yesterday. I definitely did that. So I can kind of go out of it. So I haven't gone in this morning yet and cleared these, but I'll go through and clear all these. And I know exactly where I'm at and where my team is. So I think having something like this is extremely helpful to get things done. So that is kind of where I'm at with that. Let's see what else. I think that's it. I mean, I'm going to let that go unless you guys have any other thoughts or questions. I'm going to check LinkedIn one more time, but I just wanted to get in here and talk about leadership a little bit, because I think there's a lack of it really. And we are capable. I mean, I know that you are capable. The people that are listening in with this right now are absolutely capable, because you are the kinds of people that will step up to this. So I really look forward to hearing from you, and let me know what you're doing, because I always would love new ideas for my team and for us. So if you're doing something really cool, let me know in the comments. And yeah, have a great day. And I will be back next week. So take care. Bye.